Tetelestai CW8QY says, Violet and Up is Lucifer's false light, deceiving man into believing he can be God. So this is looking like a sort of heavily steeped in amber meme Christian perspective, which is welcome. Namaste to you, true believer, friend. There is some Lucifer in that psychic zone and in that subtle. There's a messenger, there's Metatron, there's Hermes. That's you. That's the internal trickster. That's the psyche fighting back. Yes, Lucifer's in there. As we say in alignment with abstract, the structure he's putting forth is God, Lucifer, the sun. In that maybe in they're all up there. And Lucifer is accepted by God. Allows Lucifer to exist, my friend. That's not a coincidence. It is a matter of personal choice. I hope to speak to Christians. I hope to speak to evangelical, fundamentalist American Christians about what they believe in and why they believe in it. And I want to say, I'm with you. I accept salvation. I accept God and Christ. I accept the validity of the stories contained in the scriptures. I pray to God. I do. I'm on the same page with you, and I just want to adapt the narrative more so that it isn't bigoted and racist, and so that it's not fighting against women's rights for no reason, even though that isn't contained in the scriptures, so that it isn't homophobic, because I'm green meme as well. I'm amber meme, but I'm also green meme. You see, I don't block out or deny truth in any form. At least that's what I'm trying to do. So what is a false light? What is Lucifer's false light? What is that? It's a light. What does false mean? You don't accept it. What's a weed? It's a plant you don't want in your garden. What's garbage? It's stuff that you want to send to the dump because you don't want it in your home anymore. What's stupid? It's what you disagree with, right? You have to, if you're seeing a false light, you may have to engage with it. You may have to allow it to shine on you, because that is light. That is truth. You may have to see the serpent. You may have to see the fear that you're fighting against. You may have to go to the battlefield and stand as God advises you, and allow God to do the work. But look at it. Engage with it. Face what is real. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie as a culture, as a community. If your Bible is true, then it isn't in a little compartment called a book. It is the nature of reality. And if there's any disparity between what scientists find and what's contained in your book, something's wrong with that. There's cognitive dissonance there. That shouldn't be the case. Science gives us logical, reasonable answers about the nature of the world in which we live, which is God's world, which is manifested reality created by the consciousness of God. And you're the sun. You're here to sort this all out. So if you're going to deny everything that seems disagreeable from a certain perspective, I don't think that's what God wants us to do. I think that if you truly believe in your religious convictions, you must allow truth to win out, truth of any sort. You or your preacher doesn't get to tell God what reality is, nor do I. Reality tells you what it is. That's God. This is God. This moment, us interacting, that's God happening, isn't it? Or do you think it's something that only happens in church and only happens if you're good, and and the devil isn't part of God, and suffering isn't part of the experience of being in the world? Are we going to lie to each other? That's amber meme. You guys will tie me to a tree and shoot me. Well, that's not a very good outcome, because I'm trying to walk with truth here. I'm trying to shed light on the reason why the prophets chose these stories to share with us. What motivated Jesus to do what Jesus did, if Jesus is in fact a real person? And can you ask that question truly? Or do you force that out and put that away and say, no, I say what's real? See, there's a lot of narcissism in the amber beam perspective. And there's a lot of sheepish mentality where you're letting somebody else, some church authority, that you believe in, you believe their story, you're letting that talk over reality talking to you, reality itself, which communicates to you via science, via your own perception, via your relationships with people. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. Believe in the sense that I think that this is a benevolent universe that reveals itself to us, that we have access to truth and beauty and wisdom, and that we are noble and dignified creatures who make mistakes and are faced with choices to believe, to think, to feel, and to do in ways that we understand as the Son to be integrity, development, and spirituality. So I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, I'm a yoga guy, I'm an atheist. I don't pick one because I pick reality, truth. You don't get to pick. You aren't the God. You're the Son. That's what it says. And it doesn't say a whole lot about reproductive health. And it doesn't say a whole lot about homosexuality, no matter how much you try and bend things and edit things and reformat the scriptures. It's an attempt. It's an inspired attempt to speak about truth that arose before science was able to test things as true or not, before historians studied what actually happened in history. If you don't think the world is billions of years old, you're fighting against reality. And that's not very Christ-like, in my opinion. So if that makes me your enemy, I'm sorry. I am trying to represent truth, beauty, and goodness, integrity, development, and spirituality. I'm trying to worship in my own way. I pray to God, like I said. I'm given a great many blessings that I appreciate and I'm grateful for, and I love deeply. I try to live a life where I don't hurt people, but I do help people and fix things. So if that's out of step with your belief system and your constructed reality that somebody told you this stuff, it was written in a book. Why is that book right? I'm not beholden to any of that. I want to know what's actually true and good and right. So that's the extent to which I'm with Amber and the extent to which I'm against Amber. I don't know where this commenter's actually coming from. That might just be for fun. But that is a perspective, and I certainly want to dialogue with the 50+% of my country that is a true believer in evangelical Christianity. Whether that's alternative, whether that's a spin on it, a schism, all these different denominations that disagree with each other on little things, but all kind of agree with one another in the notion of blocking out what's actually true and real and beautiful and trying to fight for a really specific version that's all political in nature. And you remember what happened with Christ, and he holds up the coin and says, render this unto Caesar and render the rest is for God, right? I go to churches and they are money-making institutions, they're businesses, and they're political institutions. They're trying to advance political narratives. That's what Christ was fighting against in that story. That's what it's talking about. Stop being the way that you're being. Stop trying to force your ideals on people. Stop trying to corral people who disagree with you, because that's not what the Gospels say. But accept into your heart those that you disagree with. Turn the other cheek, right? And if it comes right down to it, if you're in that position where you need to suffer and sacrifice yourself for what you believe in and for what you find to be your truth and your morality, your beauty and goodness, well, then you're in a position rather like the position that Christ was in, where you're not a domineering political figure, you're not a rich person, right? That's not who Christ was. But you're fighting for truth, beauty, and goodness as you understand it. That's walking with truth. This probably isn't my target demographic anyway, but again, Tetelestai, CW8QY, 12 stages of consciousness, all these are irrelevant. Fact of the matter is, doesn't matter what your opinion is about reality. When you die, you're sealed in eternity. heaven and hell testimonies exist. I could give you a testimony for just about anything under the sun. UFO testimonies exist. Satanic scare, Pizzagate, This is a time when any testimony under the sun is out there, so that doesn't make it true. And again, you're professing this, like, who are you to say any? How do you know that hell and heaven exist? And are you dead? Because testimonies exist? Well, you look for those testimonies because you want to believe that's true, because you want to punish me for not being a Christian. I spend all of eternity burning in agony forever because I don't agree with you. That's childish. That's not. Christ did talk about hell, and what I get out of what I hear there in the Gospels and in the Bible is this is the place, reality, consciousness, where we are, what's actually happening. This is heaven or hell. It's heaven for me, currently. And I've never been to hell. I don't know what hell's like, but I've seen people in hell, and I've seen what gets you there. And being real, loving God, being grateful, that's heaven. Being able to be a soul and to communicate honestly, genuinely, without lying, without being in control, without having power over others, without exerting your libido over others. That, to me, is heavenly in nature, and that's what I saw in the Gospels happening. If you're right, then there's no problem, right? You don't even need to comment on my video and tell me that I'm going to hell. That's just the fact of the matter. I don't have a mind to change here. I'm not fixated on anything. I'm just accepting what is. Obviously, heaven and hell as a concept adapted from other religions is just a metaphor for suffering and abundance mentality. And I get the sense that a person who has this strong of a need for power and control in the ideological realm is probably in some sort of hell or limbo in their experience of reality now, which is all there ever is. That's eternity. It's not later, it's now. But I deeply appreciate getting some of these perspectives that I wouldn't expect showing up on my videos, and I think it's awesome that you're open-minded enough to even watch the video in the first place and to offer your perspective, which I'm not trying to tear apart. I've been through that whole circus myself. I've tried to have the kind of faith that you have, and I realize at every step that it comes down to some person who wants power and control, dictating absolutistic, dogmatic things to me that aren't in step with what I perceive to be actual reality. It's a sort of constructed reality that you have to hide from truth in order to see. Telestai, I hope that what I'm saying doesn't sound too confrontational or aggressive, but you offer your truth and I offer my truth. And hopefully we'll find a way to express the glory and beauty of God and creation in the work that we each do. Namaste to you.